This is another one, Philip, that I think you'll like in terms of like, oh, I've heard this a million times before, but this is a new way of seeing it. The balloons show you all the places you can go. And that's your goal in the session is just to go everywhere the problem is not and travel around. Like sometimes I say, so is there any context in which you want to keep your problem? It's just a weird question. Like, so that's asking them, okay, if we go over here, what then? Okay, if I try over here, what then? If you see yourself 3 months from now, what then? It's like a little timeline therapy built into that timeline jumping around. Okay, so there's unlimited possibilities. Which one feels good to me? And that's like trying on different outfits, right? They're being like, oh, that feels kind of nice. No, maybe not that one. Maybe this one. Oh, no, maybe this one. Like Goldilocks or whatever. By bringing up the clashing realities, we're telling them, okay, if you try this reality, how does that feel to you? If you try this reality, how does that feel to you? And so we're asking them to compare realities and choose the one that actually aligns with their highest self or their best feeling. And they've never had that experience before. The hypotheticals are meant to just offer versions of realities. So, like, we could say to Donna, okay, so let's say you clean up the room and organize it, and it's uncomfortable to be that new identity. Is that okay with you? Because that was her complaint, right? Like, no, my identity isn't that person, but I'd really like the room clean. So I'm just saying, okay, hypothetically, if you did it and you had to change that identity thing, which you said you didn't want to, but let's say you did, how would that feel to you? Either she's going to say to me, yeah, I'd like to go through that discomfort and just clean the fucking room and get on with it. Or she's going to say, no, I'd like to live in my messy room and keep the pile of clothes and not modify my identity. And that's not a super sophisticated example. I could have come up with something better. But the bottom line is by offering people hypotheticals, we're saying, okay, here's some clashing realities. Let's work with them. So now we're just complexifying, or that's not the right word, we're deepening the questioning into other options other than what's stopping you? How do you feel about that? Tell me more. It's trying on outfits. I love to thrift, so this is a good picture for me. Like that's what thrifting is all about. What do I think of this? What do I think of this? How do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? Sometimes you take one home and you're like, what was I thinking? Not this one, you know? Right? Or sometimes you take it home and you're like, oh, it's so much better on me at home than it was at the store. That's the same thing that happens in my sessions. Oh, I didn't realize how much I wanted this one. Oh, I actually could not eat this cake right now and feel better about myself and go read a book instead or go to a knitting class instead. Oh, I think I will do that. I just got a text this morning from one of my clients who told me nothing was working. This fucking stupid conversational method isn't working. And then he wrote me this morning, delete everything I've said about it not working. And then there's a picture of him out at a party last night with a bunch of people. And he's like, you're so awesome. Like, it makes me cry. He's like, I'm doing the thing I was so scared to do. So he tried on different outfits, and some of them didn't work for him, and some did. And now he's here, 90 days into it, being like, this one feels good. Here's a picture of me doing it. And see, if I had bought into his story, I would have been like, what am I sucking at this suddenly? Like, why is he not getting anywhere? But I just knew that he was trying on his outfits. And he tried on some wild outfits, let me tell you. That was like one that I haven't observed before. Like some of them were far out, not what I was expecting.
Can you give an example of that? Because I think that's really important. Like, so you went through the process, he went home, obviously maybe he's has social anxiety or something, I don't know.
Yep.
And so what would be an example? So you found this core with him, whatever that thing was. He
Yeah.
went home and he expected, to go to a party the next night, and
Yep.
then it didn't work. And then like what kind of things was he trying and it wasn't working? And then he was blaming the hypnosis is not working. Can you just give me some like I'm just curious, like I don't like the outfits, I just want to get a sense.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, it's a great question. And I mean, this is what's fun about hypnosis is when somebody comes to you with a problem, I feel like a broken record. They're only telling you their symptom. They don't know why they're actually there, right? So I don't know why they're there. And also, I don't know what they're really needing. I don't know what the outcome is. I just know the global thing of why they started, but I don't actually know anything. So what happens in these situations is he sits down and says, okay, I'm ready to meet the woman of my dreams. I'm ready to date, but I have this history of this and that, and I have all these hesitations and my childhood and my, and then blah 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 blah. And then they go, and then he leaves, right? And various things happen. Like I'm now doing 3.5 minutes in my cold plunge up to my neck, right? And you might be thinking is that's one of the things he told me. And I was like, okay, well, what does that have to do with anything that we've talked about? But in his subconscious process,
Right,
what's happening is he's testing his resilience on that
right,
first, which gives me chills because it's like a cool way the mind is like, okay, I'm not going to just go out on a limb,
right.
go meet a girl and marry her. I'm going to now develop this. And then he started doing like long planks. And then he started smoking less cannabis. And then he started healing the wounds with his mother. And then he got into a relationship and then then he broke up with that person because it didn't work. And all these steps have been happening in that 90 days where he's like, it's not working. And so what I'm doing, and this is something I teach in level 2, is that doesn't matter to me because is something happening? Okay, well, why is that stuff happening? Okay, it's because of the hypnosis. So something's happening.
Right.
So
He's
I'm
stepping out of his comfort zone and he's growing.
exactly. And so I'm just anchoring him back to that, anchoring him back to that. He's a perfect example of not a one-hit wonder. I have a lot of one-hit experiences, but that was not him. His was like, come back, come back. Okay, fine. And now here he is doing the thing and admitting also and apologizing for accusing me, which is fine. I don't react to that at all. And that's why I say you got to really not care. Because if I cared, I would have lost sleep over that. I'd have an ulcer by now at all the people telling me it didn't work. But
But I
guess,
would,
but guess what? In the end of the day, I don't have any, I've never given a refund.
but how do you not feel bad? I would feel bad charging that much, even for my own self. If I feel like I gave someone a 70%, sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish especially with
And that's
mediumship,
because
I'll give,
you need to get a session on that because that's the whole God, how do you say this? That's the whole posture of the hypnotist, right? Is I am absolutely sure that the 300 million hours of continuous television that represents the horsepower of your subconscious, which is a fucking shit ton of data and information, I am that sure that that is so much smarter than me that I can surrender to that. Like, I absolutely knew that he was following my process. I could see the changes. I could see his criticism of it is born of his desire to change. And so deep down, I know it's coming for him. And if I hold that view, because that's my job, by the way, Donna, like that's what he paid me for, is to not lose track of that view for him. So my long-term view of that guy is of him doing the thing, whether
right.
or not he satisfies that. So if I get into my guilt and my shame or whatever about it didn't happen, then I'm buying his symptom story again and I'm folding my belief in what's possible. But
So,
why would you pay me the big dollars if I don't have enough? I mean, that's like going to the dentist and the dentist being like, "Oh, well, I know how to put crowns in, but, at the end of the day, probably you're going to need it replaced later." Like, would I hire that person? Fuck no. I'd go to the person who's like, "I've put in 1 million of these and it'll take us 2 hours and you'll be fine." So I just think of myself as the mental doctor or the mental dentist. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to do it right. You're going to be fine at the end. My job is to talk you through that. I definitely think that anytime we get involved and it's not happening for you, We are awakening the psychotic insight. And so I know immediately that I'm on the wrong track then. That's why I don't follow up with people too, because I'll interrupt them. Like, how weird is it if your hypnotist calls you and is like, so, how's the smoking going? What is the initial thing that the person is going to think is, why is she worried about me? Does she check on everyone? Does she think I'm going to smoke? Then I'm doing reverse hypnosis. That's totally not helpful. If I give somebody an audio, this is a very important one too. Like a lot of you will be tempted to record an audio. Oh, I give more value. So you come in for your session, you also get an audio to listen to for 30 days, right? Lots of people sell their products that way. But guess what happens each time the person presses play on their audio?
Hmm.
They're back to,
Right.
I think that I have a problem that's not solved yet. So I'm undoing it.
Hmm.
So the conventional method is like piling education, piling experiences on the person as though the mass will make the shift. That's not how shifts work. Shifts can be like literally in 5 seconds, in 1 second. I've seen people have the smallest little unconscious moment, and then from then on, I can't find the problem to save my life, and I have no fucking clue what they did. And it's like literally a flash. And then here we are coming at them like, oh, and you need an audio and you need to journal and you need to write that shit down and you need to regurgitate it. Like, no, that's not true. Yep. Philip, did you have a question?
No.
I'm on a soapbox right now. Let me continue. Oh, good. I'm at the end of the slides. I do often get completely confused, and I'm showing you again the big picture because it's a lot. We're working with somebody's entire life in the context of 90 minutes, right? Or 2 hours. All of their past traumas, all of their symptoms, all of their dreams, their future. It's like major timeline therapy. I do think of myself as like a time compressor. And so as you're holding on to that big maze, you will feel potentially confused. So I just want to tell you, I do get confused. It's not like I can follow everything. It's not like I remember the last thing I said. But this is not a bad thing because I don't matter. I'm not important to this whole process. The session is about the client. And so if I'm just on the journey with them, that's where the big picture exists. I don't need to force them into anything. I don't need to take a smaller or bigger view of it as long as I'm on the trip that they're taking me on.